Greetings, brothers. Welcome to the Blood Angels Commander channel. Hello. How's everybody? What's happening, guys? Good evening. Give me 1 second. I'm not seeing chat on my screen. Here it is. Chat. Hello. We get new Terminators. We'll talk about that in just a second. Hello, Foz. Good evening. Mike. Hiya. Adrian, good evening. Miles, what's happening? Killer, what's happening? Good evening, guys. I guess the rumor's true, huh? You guys see this animation thing? This is most definitely a Tyranid of sorts. And have a look in his eye. Tell me what that is. I would say that's definitely a Blood Angels Terminator. It's not so clear on this picture. You don't really see the colour of the Terminator armour. You see the white helmet. You can't really take out the colour of the Terminator. However, I feel like when you look in his eye, this bit of armour here is most definitely red. So, the rumours that have been... It's an Ultramarine Gao. Just get out the stream. That's it. You guys are done. You're drunk. Go home. Atlas, Lionheart, you guys are done. Right, we won't be reading any more stupid comments. No, I'm joking. It's definitely red. It's red. It's a Blood Angels Terminator. So, the rumour is that the new 10th edition box set is going to be Blood Angels versus Tyranids. You look closely enough, you can see Ultramarine. Well, why the hell is it red? You're lying. I'll screenshot it when it comes up. Hold on. Did that screenshot work? Where's the Ultramarine symbol? Where? That's red armor. That's 100% red. I don't know, because when you look at the picture in the eye looks red. Regardless, they're previewing new Terminators. That's a different helmet. Terminator Warhammer helmet. What's like the classic Terminator helmet look like? I'm wanting a front on because that's like dead front on. Do you know what? We should probably just search Blood Angels. Oh, there was one guy right here. It's similar. I feel like it's definitely different. It's got like these little vents that you get on the other helmets at the side. It's got some sort of extra vent thing up here and up here. So, we're getting a new... It's Dark Angels? Boo. I don't think it is Dark Angels. I think it's Blood Angels. I think it's clearly red in this animation. If it was for another faction, I don't think they would have made it so obviously red. Anyway, new Terminators. Zoom in on the community page. I was on the community page. What am I missing? I think it's Blood Angels. That's the rumours that we've heard. It's going to be... Well, I mean, technically it might not be Blood Angels. It might just be new Terminators, which you can paint as Blood Angels. But on the box art, they'll be painted. In the picture, it's an Ultramarine. What, in this picture? It's an Ultramarine? That? Doesn't look like a U to me. That just looks like an Aquila on his chest. Doesn't look like a U. Nah, that's just a standard... that's just a standard thing you get on Terminator armor. I think that's just that standard thing there. That's not a U. I mean, it would be way too wide to be a U. That's just your standard Terminator bit, I think. There's an Ultramarine symbol on the right side. On the shoulder pad? Oh, there is an Ultramarine symbol on the right side. Oh, so why did they show it red? Oh, I was so excited. Anyway, there is new Terminators coming. I think you're going to get to paint them. I don't think they're going to be Ultramarine specific. I think, hopefully in the box art, they're going to be Blood Angels. Interesting. New Terminators anyway. We're finally getting them. Cool. Army lists. Let's get into it. Dutster is the first army list for tonight. Good evening, everybody, by the way. Thanks for being here. Please, if you do enjoy tonight's stream, go ahead and hit the like button at some point. I'd appreciate it. Helps me out. Okay. 5 attacks on each Terminator. Let's hope so, Benno. Let's hope so. I wonder if they're going to give them any new weapon options. That might be cool. I wonder... Imagine if we got weapon options where you could, like, outload them like the Crimson Paladins. If no one's seen the if you don't know what the Crimson Paladins are, then they're a cool-ass for 30k set of Blood Angels who have, like, big storm shields and swords. Kinda Blade Guard veterans. Some people have actually made these guys as their Blade Guard veterans. That'd be cool. The back of their armor is actually so dope. That's so unique. I don't know why I don't have any Crimson. I mean, they're resin, and I hate working with resin, so I guess that's why I don't have any. But yeah, maybe we get some cool new options. Alright, let's start on army lists tonight. Here's a new list I've been thinking with Relentless Assault or Shock Tactics. It's also good on Oaths, and it would do some data. Alright. Captain on a Bike, Infernal Pistol, Quake Bolts, Rights of War. Chaplain on a Bike, Icon of the Angel, Wise Raider. Sanguinary Priest, just a jump pack. 2 squads of Infiltrators, Helix Gauntlets, very common. 5 Blade Guard Veterans. 5 Death Company with all hammers. 7 Sandguard, all Infernal Pistols. Scouts with camo cloaks. And a Thunderhammer on the Sergeant. It's kind of mad that you can take a sniper rifle and a Thunderhammer, but okay. Terminators with all Thunderhammers. Vanguards with a bunch of Storm Shields, Power Fists, Power Swords, Relic Blades, 1 Speeder, 1 Reaper, 1 Whirlwind, 1 Impulsor, 1 Land Speeder Storm. Okay, interesting list. Crimson Paladins would be a nice Blade Guard better bodyguard. They would be Highland Phoenix. I've got a lot of models on my pile of shame before I go ahead and buy Crimson Paladins. If there's a new box set coming as well, I guess I'm buying the new box set. I haven't even started making any of the models in the Augustus box set. Like literally none. I have been prioritizing finishing some of the models that I'm running in my current army list, so I don't know when I'm getting to those. Alright, so cool things about this list is double Infiltrators gives a lot of backfield protection. Whirlwind gives the fight last. If you only got 1 tank, then I think a Gladiator Reaper is a decent choice. It kills a lot of infantry. The Terminator squad I prefer now, after running it through a whole tournament. I prefer to have lightning claws on the sergeant. I think the extra attacks is nice. I also really liked mastercrafting the lightning claw on the sergeant. That's hard to do on a 6 CP list, but it is good. It is really good having that 2 damage, 6 attacks, rerolling wounds. It's very much before I did that, I would say with the Terminators, I would do like 3 Thunderhammers, 2 Lightning Claws, and I think if I don't have CP, I'm probably still doing some variant of that, because I think you want the squad to be versatile, because Terminators aren't going to be starting on the board. They're going to be coming in turn 2 or 3, and they're going to be reacting to threats. So I think having some guys in the squad with Lightning Claws, you know, like I played a game against Eldar, well, all those Thunderhammers are going to do dick against one wound enemies. They're not going to be that effective, whereas Lightning Claws will be brilliant against Eldar, because you'll wound on 2s re-rolling, and you'll be able to basically hit on 2s with Fury the First stratagem, right? The Landspeeder Storm and Scouts gives you some additional play around like retrieving data. Sanguinary Guard in 7 with Infernal Pistols is fine, I think. Blade Guard as a 5, again, it's fine. And Impulsor, it's fine. I think after my experience at the tournament, considering an Impulsor and 5 Blade Guard are like 275 points, I'd probably run like 2 squads of 3 Blade Guard. I was going to say, maybe in this list you could run a 3 and a 4, and then you could also fit in a 40-point unit of Voidsman at Arms, which will be very useful for scoring, especially if you're having to do data, because I don't think we have a great 3rd secondary at the moment. Vanguard Veterans with Power Fists, Power Swords, and Relic Blades is totally fine. Keeps the cost down reasonably cheap. I prefer them with Lightning Claws, but Lightning Claw guys are more expensive, so I think it's nice having a mix of both, like 2 damage and 1 damage weapons. 5 Death Company with hammers. You typically don't leave home without them. Quake Bolt, Chapter Master, Gift of Foresight gives your Quake Bolts added reliability. I prefer to run this Chapter Master with Rights of War. I think OBSEC wins games. What's the take on Landspeeders? Does one take them if the points left, or is there more to them? I mean, the Landspeeder gives the Whirlwind +1 to hit, but I think that's sort of the lower value of the Landspeeder. The Landspeeder's there to jump into the backfield, probably to score Relentless Assault, or to move 18 inches and make an enemy character the closest target and shoot 2 multi-meltas in its face and hope you kill it. Hey Morgo, are we excited for the teaser? I think we are. I mean, I'm excited to get a new Terminator kit for sure. I think, personally, even though I have a shitload of Blood Angels Terminators, like, maybe, I might have close to 50 Terminators actually, because I've got 3 squads of the Assault, and I think I've got 3 squads of the Shooting, then I've got 2 squads of Rogue Trader Terminators. So I might be close to having 50 Terminators. Even though I have 50 Terminators, I think I'm excited about it, and I think I will get more Terminators, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think I'll get more Terminators. But what is there to say? I'll get the squad in the new box, and then I'll probably end up buying another one of the Blood Angels. They used to do really cool They used to do Forge World Blood Angels Terminator shoulder pads. Now they've been off sale for ages. If they ever come back on made to order, you want to grab them, because I guess they are super rare and they just don't do them anymore. Maybe you could be lucky and find them on eBay. Blood Angels Terminator shoulders. Maybe they're on eBay, but I mean, they used to be. Oh, that looks like it. Yeah, that looks like what they were. I've got one of them like literally right in front of me here. He's using that custom shoulder pad on one, and he's using one of the other ones on the other shoulder. So I bought these. These used to be sold by Forge World. I guess they're not sold anymore, and you can get them from one of these sort of like recaster websites. The problem with buying these off recasters, I mean, they're cheap, but I don't know how the quality can go either way on those recasters. So yeah, if they ever come back from Forge World, I would buy them. So what do I like about this list? I mean, it's got a couple of fast jump units. You could argue the Blade Guard, or I've been saying run 3 jump units and run 3 more durable squads. This kind of almost fits there. It's got a little bit more speed with a Land Speeder Storm. I feel like I would love to have Rites of War in this list. I feel like my experience at my last event has told me that I won't run Blade Guard as a 5 with an Impulsor anymore. I will run Blade Guard as a 6 and combat squad them, and then use the extra points I would get for something else. How many points would that be? It would be about 50. So it could easily fit a squad of Voidsmen at Arms. I think Voidsmen at Arms, like I've said before, are a very good scoring unit. And then you would have maybe like 15 points to play with. I don't know what you could do with those 15 points. Maybe get a Thunderhammer on the Vanguard Veteran Sergeant, or maybe yeah, I don't think you've got much other options, to be honest. I think it'd be 210 points. So it would be like 210. It would be 65 points. You put in the Voidsman, you'd have 25 points left. I don't think there's anything we can buy as Space Marine players for 25 points. Maybe you could add one more Vanguard veteran, actually, with like double. Can Vanguard veterans take double chainswords to keep them cheap? No, I don't think they can take double chainsword, but a Vanguard veteran can. Someone posted those Blood Angels Terminator shoulders on Discord. Yeah, I bought them like. I must have bought them like 2 years ago. If they ever come back from made to order on Forge World, I would recommend you buy them. You could, yeah. So you could take another Vanguard veteran, give him a chain sword. I guess you could have a bolt gun and chain sword. 23 points. Okay, so that's what you could do. And then I guess when incoming fire comes, the first. Think of him as the Helix Gauntlet. The first time you take 2 wounds in your Vanguard veteran squad, you just lift off that guy. He's only there. He's just a blade wound. So that's what I would do. I'd run. But that's if you don't know why I would run 6 Blade Guard in combat squad them, then watch last week's video that I put out on Friday about my tournament list. When you park an Impulsor full of Blade Guard on an objective, it's good, but I feel it's no stronger than just parking 3 Blade Guard on an objective. Honestly, is 231 for the Space Hulk Terminators good? What do you mean 231? Sorry. 43 people watching, only 11 likes. Yeah, we need a few more people to hit the like button. Okay, so everything in this list is decent. I think it's probably quite a meta list in terms of like it's moved. The meta has moved on, and you need some durable units, which it's got: the Vanguard, the Blade Guard, the Terminators. I get some Lightning Claws on the Terminator squad. I'm kind of off the Blade Guard with an Impulsor at the moment, personal preference. And I think if you're trying to score data, if you're trying to, if you're stuck and you have to pick retrieve battlefield data as the secondary, I think you want. I mean, I guess your scouts and the land speeder can do it in one quadrant. Your infiltrators can do it in your backfield. Then I think you should. I think it's a no-brainer to take that 40-point unit of Voidsmen at Arms. They sneak in to objectives and score you data, and in the case that you don't need them in to score data, then I've used them before to like hold an objective off at the side of the map while the rest of my forces push somewhere else. Cool. So overall, I think it's a pretty decent list. I feel like. So I ran to a tournament recently, like just this last week. This captain on the bike with Quake Bolts and Rites of War. Gift of Foresight gives you a little bit more survivability and gives you a little bit more damage with your like Power Fist / Infernal Pistol. But in my experience, OBSEC wins games. Having a reroll on a Thunderhammer or an Infernal Pistol, it helps, but doesn't win games as hard as OBSEC wins games. So you have to trade some survivability here for like the OBSEC aura. But like everything in your list is just about core, right? I mean, your tanks aren't core and your speeders aren't core, but all your infantry aren't core. So you've got like, and remember, Rites of War affects characters as well. So you potentially take like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You potentially can add OBSEC to 9 units. I think that's much stronger than basically being able to reroll a save or reroll a hit. I really think OBSEC is super important. Especially, it's one of those things where, like, against some armies, it's not going to be a big deal. Maybe they don't have very many OBSEC units, but you come up against Necrons and their whole fucking army's OBSEC, and a bunch of them count as double OBSEC, then you're going to need it, or you're going to lose games. You're just not going to be able to score the primaries. Alright, next list. Not enough Odinson is the next list. He's hoping to catch the list before the cutoff. He just joined 40k Blood Angels, and this is his very first army list, heavily inspired by myself, I guess, with some added spice. I'd love to know what you think. The captain is babysitting my vanguard. The Kratos, Librarian Dread, and Tet Marine are being offensive with my chaplain hanging with the Death Company with his auras trying to affect as many units as possible. Yeah, Reziel, I actually probably need to pick one of my Blade Guard out the drawer, actually, because I think I have 8 of them. But only 5 are fully painted. 3 of them are very close to being finished, so I think I actually need to pick them out the drawer and finish them. I think if I'm gonna drop Rebooty, which I don't know if I'm dropping Rebooty right now. I think I'm gonna run Rebooty for a few more weeks. But I think when I drop Rebooty, I'll run Blade Guard as a 6 and I'll combat squad them before the game. I think that's gonna be strong. I think that's the best way to use Blade Guard right now. Alright, so he's got Angel's Artifice, giving him toughness 6 on his bike captain. He's got an Infernal Pistol, and he's got a Thunder Hammer. He's also the Chapter Master. I think that, assuming you don't have Armor Indomitus in this list, which you don't, I'd always run Armor Indomitus over Angel's Artifice. I think the +1 toughness, +1 wound, 2 up save from... I don't think there's much difference between toughness 5 and toughness 6, right? Whereas I think being able to turn on a 3-up invulnerable save once per game is super good. I think I went 18 Blade Guard. I wonder if 18 Blade Guard split into 6 squads of 3 would be strong. I have no idea. It might. I would always run Armor Indomitus over Angel's Artifice. I started running that to begin with and then moved away from it. You're also running Champion of Humanity. If you're wanting to make him a character killer, I actually think Gift of Foresight is a better option. Champion of Humanity, we can only benefit from half of it as well, because one of the parts of Champion Humanity is like you get +1 to hit when you're near characters. I don't really run it very often. Each time you get +1 to your attacks. Each time you make a melee attack against enemy characters, you add 1 to your hit roll and 1 to your wound roll. Well, Blood Angels already add 1 to your wound roll, so that sort of part of it is worthless, because you never get more than +1 to your wound. Unless they obviously are making you -1 to wound, but that's very situational, I feel like. So, you're going to get +1 attack, and you're going to add 1 to your hit roll. If you're going to do that, like, I feel like you'd possibly be better. There's 2 things you could probably do that are better. One would be Imperium Sword. That's always going to give you +1 attack when you charge. That's going to give you +1 strength, making your Thunderhammer strength 9, which means you'd even wound like big demons on 2s or whatever. But I think the better option here is Gift of Foresight, because you get to reroll 1 hit and 1 wound. So with a Thunderhammer, you're typically going to be wounding on 2s. If you do get a 1, you get to reroll it. If you do fail a hit, you get to reroll it as well. I just think that's better. And then I still think, for me, I as much as I enjoy this character as sort of like a character tussler killer, I found in higher level games, Rites of War sort of pips that, right? We've got Librarian Dreadnought. He's got the shield, he's got the wings, he's got Meltagun. Okay. It's a pity that he isn't the chief librarian. Unleash Rage is actually kind of like our best psychic power. It's the psychic power that will give us the most value, in my opinion. So it's a little sad that you didn't pick that. The Librarian Dreadnought isn't potentially the best character for casting that, but you kind of got 2 characters that are trying to do the same thing here, right? You got 2 characters that are just wanting to smash into the enemy and kill their characters. I don't really like that sort of play. You're really reliant on positioning, and if the enemy put their characters in vulnerable spaces and stuff like that, it's fine for like learning the game. But I think once you get to higher level plays, people aren't going to present their characters for you. Even if you're on a bike and moving 14 inches, still going to be hard to charge the characters. They're going to be screened. They're going to be hard to get to positions. So I think the Librarian Dreadnought is probably stronger as a character casting buffs than he is as a combat character. If you are going to run him as a combat character, I really feel like he benefits a lot from Quake Bolts, because his weapon skill 3 is like his biggest weakness, right? Alright, you got the Primarch's Chaplain on a bike, who's got Soul Warden and +2 to charge, and he's Master of Sanctity, and he's the Vox Spiritum. Cool, he's got a lot of auras. You're actually missing a litany. If you upgrade yourself to Master of Sanctity, I'm pretty sure it's a while since I run Chaplain, but I'm pretty sure Master of Sanctity gives you pick an extra litany. So this model is 1 additional litany, and you can cast 2 in the command phase. So as well as Litany of Hate, which is the default one, and Canticle of Hate, which is +2 to charge, you also get 1 for free. So I would run like you probably want to take what's the one that's Mantra of Strength, +1 attack, +1 strength, +1 damage. Battle size crapped it out and removes the base litany. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. Hey Joe, good evening. 2 Infiltrator squads. The Blade Guard is a 4. The Death Company is a 5 with 4 hammers. The Judiciary. You've got a lot of characters in this list, dude. You're really pushing. I missed the Tech Marine as well. Okay. 5 characters to me feels like a lot. We've got the Sanguinary Guard with all Infernal Pistols. We've got the Vanguard Veterans with all hammers. Strange choice. Vanguard Veterans don't get that many attacks with hammers. And that makes that squad quite one-dimensional, I feel like. I feel like I would like to put a couple of Lightning Claws in that squad as well. If it was me, that's the way I would do it. You've got attack bikes, and you've got them as a 2-man squad. There's no point keeping them as a 2-man squad unless you had a Tech Marine a Priest to revive them. In this case, because they're a single, because you have nothing else fast attack, you should split these into 2 squads of a single attack bike. It will mean that they're more versatile when you reserve them. It also means if the enemy starts shooting at them, the damage won't carry over from one bike to the other if they shoot a whole unit at the bikes. I see no advantage to run them as a 2-man squad. I suppose there could be a very small advantage if you give them Chapter Master rerolls, but I think possibly the best way to play these guys now would be to put both of them in the reserve, bring them in within 9 inches, bring them in within 9 inches, which is in half range of the multi-meltas, and try and pop some hard targets. You also got a Kratos, double autocannons, double las cannons, the battle cannon, the multi-melta. I would swap out the las cannons. I haven't run a Kratos myself. I don't own one. But I'll tell you right now, las cannons they're just the worst. They're not a competitive weapon at all because of their d6 damage. Typically, I've been in events where you've got 2 shots from a las cannon, so it's already super unreliable because you only got 2 shots. So let's say you miss with one of them, and then you wound with the one you've got left. Great. Then they make their save, or maybe you hit with 2 of them and you fail to wound with one of them. It's very easy for 2 las cannon shots to result in just 1 sneaking through the armor, or even 0 sneaking through the armor. So 2 las cannons, when they finally do get through the armor, you're going to roll your damage and you're going to roll a 1. It's as simple as that, and you're going to do 1 damage. You're going to replace the las cannon on the Kratos now for something for free, I think. 2 heavy bolters can be replaced with las cannons. I would replace them with the Volkite. There's 2 versions, isn't there? There's Cavaliers and Culverins. I think I would replace it with the Culverins. So that's 45 inches. That would give you 8 shots. Strength 6. 2 damage. 6s are mortals. So you're probably going to do a mortal wound. You're also going to make them make 3 or 4 saves. Yes, there's no AP, but each one's 2 damage. Do you know what? If it does a single mortal wound, it's probably already better than the las cannon anyway. So, and then you've got the Impulsor. I guess that is for your Blade Guard, and the Judiciar, which is fine. Evening, Gitley. Hope you're well. Exhausted after a weekend at the GT, went 4-1 and finished 8 out of 192nd. Well played, Gitley. You really, you've got a lot of good events, good scoring events this year. Yeah. So, good evening, Pac-Man. How you doing? I mean, you can get away with 5 characters, but if you've never played a Kratos before, I think you have to remember about the Kratos. And the thing that puts me off the Kratos, I mean, there's 2 things, right? Is one, it doesn't have an invulnerable save. Yes, it wasn't a 2-up save, tough to say, but no invulnerable save sucks. You know, if you get shot by multi-meltas from turn 1 Marines, you're still not getting a save because they're -5. 335 points, no save, kinda sucks. And I guess you could Shield of Sanguinius it, but that requires you to be going first. And then the other thing about the Kratos is 18 wounds, so it can't be obscured. So if they can see a single antenna over a piece of terrain, or they can see a wheel behind an obscuring terrain piece or whatever, they can shoot it. So I think like the Kratos for a new player is going to be very difficult to play with. You're probably going to get surprised by a few enemies. They're going to kill the Kratos without really putting themselves in very much risk. And no invulnerable. I feel bad running like a 200-point model as no invulnerable save. I don't think I'm running a 335-point model that has no invulnerable save. That's unless you're going to deploy it like 1 inch from your table edge. I suppose you could strategic reserve it, but yeah, if you're going to strategic reserve it, lose the last cannons. They're worthless. I played it. I've played against enough people that have used last cannons at tournaments that I've just like, I just felt sorry for them. That I've literally felt sorry for them. That's how bad last cannons are. You know, like I complain about the plasma cannon on the Redemptor being bad. Last cannons are just on a whole other level of bad. They're like they're unwieldable. They're unfieldable in competitive play. So you'd split the attack bikes. Probably change out some of these Thunderhammers. I think that this I have Vanguard veterans with Storm Shields and Thunderhammers, and I got 3 with Thunderhammers and 3 with Power Fists. I think if you're trying to make a Vanguard veteran squad, 190 points for 5 guys is too much. If you look at the Death Company, like the Death Company will do more damage. The Vanguard veterans have a small amount of better survivability, but it's not much. And then 5 characters is sort of a hard pill to swallow. By running 5 characters, I guess, in the Kratos, I think you probably want to lose, like, I think you probably need to lose one of the characters and get, like, another squad. You know, if you made this Vanguard veteran squad cheaper with a couple of Lightning Claw guys, you could have a whole other squad of Vanguard veterans in there. And I think, or a whole other squad of Death Company in there, I think that would be better. Obviously, I think Rites of War is really good, and you don't have it. I do like Soul Warden on the Primaris Chaplain with the Vox of Spirit, though. That gives you a huge bubble. It gives you a huge bubble of Feel No Pain, which is really nice against mortals. No Priest as well, though. So if you have no Priest, then your Sanguinary Guard, your Blade Guard, and arguably your Death Company are going to sit for 2 or 3 turns. They can't do much. Is every last cannon bad? Yeah, the D6 damage, Jacob, kills it for me. Like, they're such an expensive weapon, and when you finally get a single hit, you do D6 damage. And the amount of times that'll be at a tournament, and you'll roll a 1, or you'll be shooting a Dreadnought, and you roll a 3, and -1 damage, and it's 2. It's just there's not enough weight of fire, and the D6 damage is tragic. Like, if it were D3 plus 3, I could be okay with it, but D6 is just terrible. It's so bad. The Priest is not include for Gitley. Yeah, the Priest is so hard to leave home without. I think the only way you can leave home without the Priest is if you have an absolute abundance of CP. Do you know what? Flat 3 would be more preferable than D6. And here's the messed up thing, Killer. If you think about it, the average of a D6 is 3.5. It's just the variance. You can't rely on it, right? Like in tournament play or competitive play, you want to make informed decisions. And if you let's just say you had two last cannon shots that had 100% chance to hit and 100% chance to wound, and you're looking at the enemy going, they've got 10 wounds. I know I'm going to hit twice. I know I'm going to wound twice. I mean, you can't do that. But even if you could do that, you'd still go, well, shit, he's got 10 wounds and I do 2d6 damage. So how much damage are you going to do to it? You have no fucking idea. And that's the problem with las cannons, is like, there's just far too much variance in them. Like, that's why, like, when you're moving your guys with infernal pistols, if you can get them within 3 inches of when you move, so that they can get the d6 plus 2 damage, you're thinking to yourself, right, even if I roll badly, every infernal pistol is doing a minimum of 3 damage. So you can sort of go like, alright, it's a gladiator tank, it's got 12 wounds. You know, I'm going to hit with a bunch of these infernal pistols, I'm going to wound a bunch of times and he's not going to get to save. Like, if 3 get through out the 5, you know, I'm going to do 3, 3, 3, even if I roll 1, 1, 1. I'm pretty sure I'm managing to do 12 damage to this tank. Las cannons, you just can't do that. So you can't make an informed decision. So, like, I just wouldn't. I cannot remember like, I have a Devastator squad with all las cannons, and like years ago I run them all the time. I loved them, thought they were cool. That back when las cannons had like a 75-inch range or 72-inch range. Now it's like they've just sat for years. You can't run them. Even with the points drops, like even with how much they dropped Devastator squads, I wouldn't run las cannons in a Devastator squad. You know, somebody ran them against me at the tournament that I was just at past, and the exact thing that I'm talking about happened, and he shot the whole squad. He shot the whole squad of las cannons. We rolled the hit, we rolled the wound. One got through, and then he rolled a 1 for the damage. And I was just like, yeah, exactly. So a whole squad of Devastators with las cannons do 1 damage. They're worthless. They're absolutely worthless. I would never run them. And that's 4 las cannons, with one of them getting +1 to hit from a sergeant as well. Anyway, I regress. Las cannons suck. I don't love that you don't have rights of war, but we can live with that. The Kratos is going to be a hard thing to pilot. I think, personally, I think you'd probably be better off running like a couple of gladiators here rather than the Kratos. Some armies of Kratos will be great, but some will be able, like if you fight knights, they'll probably be able to see it over the train. They'll probably be able to kill it before you even get to shoot it, and it'll be 335 points of nothingness, or 335 points wasted. So for a casual list, this is fine. This is a cool list. This is fun. You'll do well enough. If you want it to be competitive, you probably need to lose a Kratos. You probably need to improve this Vanguard veteran squad. You probably need to lose one of your characters, and possibly add rights of war to it. And then you still have a problem here, not enough about what are your secondaries, because right now Blood Angels are struggling on secondaries. That was my takeaway from the event. We have 2 secondaries that score well. Jason would take Rights of War over Soul Warden. Yeah, I mean, I could get on board with that. I did actually take Rights of War over Soul Warden at this event, Jacob. So I suppose it depends on how many multi-meltas, etc. are in your meta. Or, sorry, how much Mortal Wounds are in your meta. If using a Chapter Master on a bike, Jump Pack, and a Primaris Chaplain on a bike with Vox the Spirit, and what's the ideal Relic Warlord trait setup? The two best ones, Chris, are Rights of War and Soul Warden, in my opinion. Other people think that Visage of Death is a really strong relic, which I think it is. But I think the 2 Warlord traits that are strongest are Rights of War, Soul Warden. Relics, there's a few you can go to. Obviously, you can do Visage of Death. I feel like Visage of Death, you need to be a really high-level player. Quake Bolts is a really good one. What other relics do I run, typically? I'm drawing a blank. Someone in chat will jump in with what else. What other relics are really powerful that we see in a lot of lists? Oh, Armor Indomitus, that's the other one. Some people like Teeth of Terra too, I think. I'm not sure I love Hammer of Baal, actually, Reziel. I think that's probably quite... If Hammer of Baal had been 4 damage, I could get on board with that. I think if you Mastercraft a Thunder Hammer, you can end up with more damage than the Hammer of Baal if you use the certain Warlord traits. Like, if you took, like... if you took, like, Imperium Sword and Gift of Foresight, which I think you can take both of, then you could have, like, a boatload of attacks with a Thunder Hammer. You could Mastercraft it, and you could reroll 1 hit, 1 wound as well. So I think Hammer of Baal isn't as strong as... Yeah, Angel's Artifice, that's good as well, yeah. Alright, Thomas. I missed your stream yesterday and I saw you put in my list. I thought my points were fair and... Oh, right, so I must have already given this guy some advice. Okay. I hear you on Psychic Mastery. I feel like I need to include a Chief Apothecary with Selfless Healer. Do you think I should drop the Selfless Healer for Psychic Mastery? Do I feel like you should drop Selfless Healer for Psychic Mastery? I think it's your own... It's your own... I mean, it's your own decision there. The thing I want to say about Psychic is, I guess, is like... Psychic is not reliable. Even with Psychic Mastery, it's not that reliable. But if you're playing a list that relies on your psychic powers, like you need psychic powers to go off to make your list strong, then I think Psychic Mastery is needed. So you need to decide on how important your psychic powers are in your list. If you think that you need them, then I think you need to do Psychic Mastery. Yeah. So I think if I was going to say the Voxa Spiritum and Soul Warden on a Chaplain seems like very good, right? And Rites of War plus something on the Captain seems very good. Quake Bolts, Armor Indomitus, Angel's Artifice. That's kind of where I would be leaning to if it was me. So we've got a Captain on a bike here. He's a Soul Warden. Here's Armor Indomitus. Cool. We have a Librarian with Veil of Time, Null Zone, and Psychic Fortress. He is the Chief Librarian with Psychic Mastery. Cool. We also have the Sanguinary Priest, who has Rites of War. Personally, I don't love Rites of War on my Sanguinary Priest, because I've tried that, and the Sanguinary Priest is just not survivable enough to be in the tussle. And sometimes with Rites of War, you just want to tussle, or sometimes you want to just, like, I've had it before where I've had Rites of War, Armor, Indomitus. I've just said, fuck it, my captain's just going to advance 20 inches onto this objective and hold it by himself because he's OBSEC and that objective's mine. And whenever you shoot me or whenever you melee me, I'm just going to activate Armor Indomitus and say, if you can get through all my wounds on a 3-up invulnerable save, then fine, you did it. But if you can't do that, then that's going to be my objective. Sometimes the way to do that as well is with the priest, go put the priest right next to him, because then they either have to kill the priest first, or if they don't kill the priest and they go after the Rites of War captain, you'll get the Feel No Pain from the priest. So personally, I'm not a fan of Rites of War on the priest, but I guess it depends on how good a player you are again. In my experience, I felt like every time I did Rites of War on my priest would die too early in the game, whereas my captain on a bike with Armor Indomitus usually managed to hang on to pretty late in the game, right? Armor Indomitus, you're on toughness 5, you're on 7 wounds, you have 1 turn of 3-up save, you've got a 2-up normal save. Yeah. 2 squads of Infiltrators, Helix Gauntlets as standard, 2 squads of Death Company, all Thunderhammers, Sanguinary Ancient with Wrath of Baal, 7 Sanguinary Guardian Infernal Pistols, another 7 Infernal Pistols, Terminators with all Thunderhammers. So many people run Terminators with just all Thunderhammers. I don't get it. I don't understand why people don't think that, like, Terminators with Thunderhammers can be good. Don't get me wrong, they can be good, but they can also be swingy as hell. And they don't get any attacks barely beyond that first turn of charge phase. So like, let's say you come down from deep strike and you miraculously make that 9-inch charge, and you have, I don't know, what would it be? It would be like, I think the sergeant would get 4 attacks, the other guys would get 3. So you get like 16 Thunderhammers. You're only hitting on 4s, so you only make 8 hits. Let's say that swings bad, you only make 6 hits. You then wound probably on 2s or 3s, but let's say that swings bad again. You only make 2 or 3 wounds, so you only kill 2 or 3 models. You charge a 10-man squad. That can happen with Thunderhammers with Terminators. Trust me, I've done it. I've done it at events. You're then in the shit situation where when the combat comes back, there was no charges made, so now you're only getting 2 attacks with those Thunderhammers. They're only hitting on 4s. So realistically, statistically, let's say you lose 2 Terminators in the first round of combat. Now you only get 3 Terminators left. You only get 7 attacks. You're only hitting on 4s. Terminators with all Thunderhammers, to me, the reason to take the Thunderhammers and Storm Shield is to give them... The Storm Shield gives them insane survivability. Point for point, I guess Terminators are probably the most survivable thing we have, right? Because standard Terminators with a Storm Shield are on a 1-up save. So if you get them in cover, they're on a 0-up save. So you hit them at -2, they're still saving on 2s. Which is generally really nice. But I think you want some guys with Lightning Claws in there. Because if there's no charge, the Lightning Claw guys still get 4 attacks. And they still get to reroll all their wounds. So they're still really reliable for 1 damage targets. Relics with 3 Chain Fists and 2 Claws. You could do that as well. I actually don't own any Relic Terminators, Jim. I don't know how I can be at this point in my journey in 40k and not own. How there can still be models in the Space Marine Codex that I don't own, but there is some, and Relic Terminators are one of them. Invader ATVs, Hammerfall bunkers, don't own either of them. I do own that stupid turret that no one runs. What's it called? The Fire Strike Servo turret. Will we get new Blood Angels Assault Terminators? I think we're getting new Terminators. I think there's 100% probability now that there's new Terminators. Are they Blood Angel specific? Probably not. So if you want to put Blood Angel specific parts on them, you might need to still buy the old Blood Angels Terminator kit. You might need to buy that before they might put that out of stock with the new models. I don't know how that's going to work. Because typically we haven't had, let's say, like a Primaris Devastator squad. If they did bring out a Primaris Devastator squad, would they stop building Devastators? I mean, I guess in some ways you can look at it as like the Blood Angels Tactical Squad, right? Like there is no Blood Angels Tactical Squad to buy anymore, right? Can you actually just buy like a regular Tactical Squad from Games Workshop? Is that a thing? Like do they still sell? They just don't sell the Blood Angel specific one. You can still buy a Tactical Squad. Okay. You just don't get, unfortunately, you just don't get the Blood Angel specific one anymore. That's a little bit sad. But yeah, so I don't know if we get Primaris Terminators, if that just means like, well, they're not going to be Primaris Terminators, are they? They're just going to be a new Terminator kit. If they get a new Terminator kit, will they still sell the Blood Angels Terminator kit? How much is that Blood Angels Terminator kit? I need to put that on my shopping list. I keep forgetting about that. I also heard a rumor that $37.50, that's not too bad. I also heard a rumor that they're discontinuing all the texture paint. Armageddon Dust is the one I use. Like, I heard a rumor that this is all getting discontinued. I guess it's called Technical now. Is it called Technical? Yeah, okay. I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to buy a couple of more pots of this because I don't want to have to rebase my models differently. I think I probably have a couple of pots, but maybe I'll just buy like 4 pots or something. Air Paints is discontinued. Yeah, I mean, it's... why are they discontinuing it? I think... I can't remember. The servo turret is kind of good now for las guns for 80 points hitting on 2s, says Allison. I mean, the problem with las guns, or las talons, I think, from that servo turret is the D6 damage, Allison. Like, I hate D6 damage. I just went on like a 20-minute rant about how bad D6 damage was. We then have an assault squad with a couple of melta guns, chainsword, a bolt pistol. You can get some war gear on the sergeant for free. I think he can take a combat shield. He could maybe take a thunderhammer. He could probably take a hand flamer or something. You got the whirlwind, And that's it. You put a Hunter Killer Missile on the Whirlwind, I guess you got 5 points left over. So I'd get some Lightning Claws on the Terminator squads. I would... Do you know what? I mean, I like the concept of the list, right? Like 2 squads of Terminators, 2 squads of Death Company, 2 squads of Sangre Guards. You've kept a lot of the fast-moving, hard-hitting stuff. You've got like 14 Infernal Pistols there. You've got the Ancient giving them all +2 to wound. You've got 10 Thunder Hammers. You've got the Ancient that can give them +1 to hit as well. You've got the Infiltrators to short the backfield. You've got 3 reasonably decent characters I also like. I think what you've got here, which is like the Psychic Mastery Librarian, and then not the Selfless Healer, but the Rites of War Priest. I think on paper that looks great. The Whirlwind and the Assault Squad, like, I like everything about this list. I do have a small question on like what's your third secondary. I guess maybe you're trying to score that with Assault Marines. I think that's possibly okay now, or I think that's possibly okay. The thing I don't like, and I've tried it myself, is Rites of War and the Sangre Priest. I found that super hard to use because people know the priest has only 4 wounds and toughness 4. So they know if they jump on him, they can usually kill him. Like a single Meltagun will kill him. That's any sort of semi-decent character will kill him in 1 round of combat. So if people know he's your aura giver of Rites of War, they'll try and jump on him. If I was playing against you, I would 100% jump and just kill that priest. So that's why I like put Rites of War on the Bite Captain. I get if you do that, then you throw Soul Warden up in the air. Like who's carrying Soul Warden at that point? You don't really have someone that can carry it. Which is a little bit annoying, but maybe... Do you know what you do, actually? Put Soul Warden on the Sangre Ancient. Yeah, okay, that's what I would do. Rites of War on the Captain, Soul Warden on the Sangre Ancient. Sangre Ancient is arguably harder to kill than the Priest as well. He's got a better save, and he's -1 to hit in melee. And he gets a 6-inch heroic, which means the cool thing about him in the 6-inch heroic is you can actually hide him off of the objective, wait for the enemy to move on to the objective, and then heroic onto the objective potentially. If they put some shitty unit on the objective that can't kill the priest because he's the ancient because he's -1 to hit, and he's 2 up save, and you heroic into them knowing you're going to get to fight first, that's how I would do that. If the priest is a big target, why not just use it as a bait? He's not that big a target though, right? He's just a 4-wound priest. The thing is, I think my point is, in some games, if there's not a lot of cover and stuff, you're gonna have to put that priest in harm's way if you want to use your brain, John. It's Sunday night, my brain's fried from the weekend. It's hard to use the priest, trust me. Or don't trust me, do it yourself. Run a Sangre Priest with Rites of War and see how you handle it. My experience was he was never alive in like turn 4 or 5. Whereas like, if I put, quite often my Bite Captain will be alive at the end of the game. If they're trying to kill the Bite Captain as well, and use Armor Indomitus, let's say you just survive the turn, right? They throw a ton of firepower into your Bite Captain, you activate your Armor Indomitus, you're left on 1 wound. You're thinking, oh shit, well now you just jump over your priest and throw D3 wounds back on him. I mean, you can conceivably then advance 20 inches, so just advance back behind a piece of terrain for 1 turn, have the priest hang out with him for 2 turns, throw 2 D3 wounds back on him, and then the captain rejoins the fray. That's one way to do it. So, overall, Thomas, it's a pretty decent list. Just some small tweaks that I would make, I guess. But I personally think my philosophy at the moment is that I want 3 fast-moving units and I want 3 durable units. You went 4 and 2, but I don't think that's the end of the world. I give my captain the shield. Is that wrong? No, it's not wrong, but if you give him Armor Indomitus and he's already on a 2-up save, then there's not that much value you get from the shield, right? Because the shield puts you on a 1-up save. So against -1 AP, you'd save on 2s. Against -2 AP, you'd save on 3s. And then anything more than -2, you're on your 4-up and Fun anyway. So some people assume that if they're trying to kill a captain on a bike with toughness 5 and 7 wounds, they're not going to be hitting him all that many times with -1 and -2 AP. They're going to be hitting him with harder weapons anyway. So then the shield is maybe worthless, so you could take an Infernal Pistol. Unless someone strips your Vuns. Sure, yeah. I mean, I guess if someone strips your Vuns, then that Storm Shield is very useful. There's that new Khorne Lord, what the hell is he called? Lord Invocatus, something like that. He's got a 2 damage -3 weapon. So against him, then the Storm Shield's 100% the right call. Cool, we got 34 people hit the like tonight, and we got 60 people watching. A few more people still need to hit the like button. Please do that. Alright, we got a list from Mike. Lord Avocado. Yes, that's what he's called. Michael, good evening. Okay, Arcs of Omen is definitely a retake on Blood Angels. I'm sticking with Successors. It's more pound for pound. Punch lets me abuse minimum size. Speeder Spam for movement block. Combat Squads for following blocking. 1000% focus on denying my opponent with points. With Insane Aggression. I hope your Insane Aggression is tempered, because none of our units are very survivable at the moment. This is a second place list. If you event a 2 undefeated where the dice go down. I just don't feel Blood Angels can score anymore, but we can still trade. Yeah, I mean, scoring for Blood Angels is tough. The third secondary is our biggest problem. I think scoring 90 points, like, there's still armies out there. There's still 100% armies out there that can score 100 every single game, and I really thought that this season was going to address that, but it's not. Blood Angels scoring over 90, even in a game you win cleanly, is really bloody difficult, I feel like. I got to do one tournament with Fury of the Lost before they changed that. Okay. Okay, so the list is designed to table by turn 5. I don't know if I believe that. Like, there's a lot of armies out there where, like, they are killing me a lot quicker than I am killing them. Okay, and then Combat Squad Aggressors, always kept in reserve. Combat Squad Blade Guard, drop 3 off in the middle for turn 1 Oath, use last 3, and Impulsor to move block. Okay, so this is a Whirlwind of Rage-born heroes. So that's hitting on 2s when you charge, exploding 6s in combat. We got a captain on a bike with Infernal Pistol, Rites of War, and spent 2 CP. What's the other thing? A Mastercrafted weapon. I mean, a Mastercrafted Thunderhammer is good. I don't know if it's needed. I don't know if that's the best pick I take on it. I prefer Armor Indomitus on this character 100%. I think surviving for an extra turn is way more valuable than doing 1 more damage with Thunderhammer. Null Zone Psychic Fortress, so... and obviously Smite. Not many people list the Smite, but yeah, a Librarian with a jump pack. Having played this Librarian myself at tournaments, I think Psychic Mastery is a must if you want to run this at a tournament. I scored 456 out of 500. Very hard work, though. Our secondary option is difficult. What third secondary were you taking? I assume you're taking Oaths and Relentless or Shock Assault or something for the first 2, right? Good evening, Chronosting. Then you got the Primaris Chaplain on a bike. You've spent 3 CP on him. Alright, so you've got the +1 to wound, you've got Soul Warden, you've got the +2 to charge, you've got Vox Aspertum, and the Wise Orator. Alright, cool, yeah, I mean, this is a dope character for 3 CP. He's obviously the Warlord, and then you've got the Priest as well. So a few people starting to push into 4 characters. 2 squads of Helix Gauntlets. You've got Aggressors, you've got 6-man, which you're going to fight. You're going to Combat Squad with the Bolters. You got Blade Guard Veterans, which again you're going to potentially Combat Squad inside the Impulsor. Death Company with Thunderhammers ×2. Sanguinary Guard with 4 Infernal Pistols. The Scouts. A couple of Tornadoes. a Storm Speed or Hammer Strike. I don't know if I like that Hammer Strike at all. I've got one. The Impulsor and the Land Speeder Storm. And yeah, I mean you don't give away a lot in secondaries. I hate oaths. I took retrieve battlefield data and relentless assault in each of the games. Otherwise, I took assassination, bring it down, and no prisoners. Okay, I mean oaths. I think at the event I went to, I think oaths averaged me like. There was a lot of points. I thought I put it on my slide. I forget now. Maybe I didn't put it on the slide. You know what? I've got the pictures on my phone. I had no problems with oaths. I don't mind oaths at all, especially if you're running small squads of Blade Guard veterans. First game I got 12 on oaths. Second game I took oaths. No, I didn't. I didn't take oaths on the second game. Didn't take oaths on the third game. The fourth game I took oaths and got 13. And then the last game I took oaths and got 13. Alright, so I scored 12, 13, 13 from oaths. So, I mean, I don't think oaths is bad. Scouts and Landspeeder Storm are incredible. It's easy victory points. Cool. It's just oaths is fine as long as you go second. I suppose the problem oaths should have really been changed though, Gitley. It should have really been at the end of your player's turn. There's not many secondaries. Like if you look at the other secondaries that are out there in the meta, there aren't many people's other secondaries that are the end of the battle round. They're all the end of the turn. Like you can't. You know, you're not telling me you can kill Necrons on an objective they're doing ancient machineries on and stop them scoring. You know, like, the fact that Oaths is the end of the battle round is stupid. It's just like somebody... I don't want to be too critical, but I'm right. When you're right, you're right. Alright, I like the character choices. I mean, they're all good character choices. I just think if you're going to rely on that librarian, especially Null Zone, because it's cast on a 7, you need Psychic Mastery. This is my opinion. But, I mean, I guess the rest of your picks are nice. Infiltrators are nice. Aggressors being combat squadded for Strategic Reserve sounds cool. I don't run it myself. Hello, Jawa Balls. How you doing? 2 combat squads of Blade Guard inside an Impulsor sounds better than 1 squad of 5. I do like that more. Death Company with 5 hammers or 4 hammers and an Infernal Pistol is pretty standard, but because I'd been playing against... well, this is the channel for Blood Angels questions. Please, if you've got any questions, just hit me up in chat. I'll try and answer them. So I played World Eaters right before this event, and right before this event, the World Eaters list that I was playing against had a shitload of Berserkers inside Rhinos, and I realised that Death Company with all hammers can't do anything against Berserkers and Rhinos. You need Infernal Pistols to open the Rhinos up. So I actually ran 1 squad of 5 hammers and 1 squad of 5 Power Sword Infernal Pistols so that I can blow up Rhinos and kill things inside Rhinos once I charge them. Fair enough, I know that the World Eaters are going to fight on death for 1 CP and they're going to kill my Death Company anyway, but let's face it, the Death Company die anyway. If the Death Company kill an Impulsor, if the Death Company kill a Rhino and maybe like 5 or 10 Berserkers inside the Rhino, if they get fighted on death and killed, then that's fine. That's still a good trade. That Death Company squad only costs 115 points, right? You got the Scout with the Storm. I don't know about the Hammer Strike. Honestly, though, I've run this Hammer Strike. It's only got 10 wounds. It does do a bit of damage, don't get me wrong. Like, it's got 3-shot Melta, and it's got 3 damage missiles. Like, 2 strength 8 minus 3 damage missiles. Yeah, it's got Crackstorm grenades. I mean, fucking... Typically, grenades... You either do a wound or you don't, right? Grenades aren't why you would run it. My issue with the Hammer Strike is... Would you not just be better running a couple of regular like multi-melta land speeders, because they don't get profiled, right? Like they don't take the minus. Sorry, they don't take the minus to hit when they're on low wounds. You can obviously reserve them. They're just as fast. I mean, they're actually faster, I think. Doesn't a land speeder move 18 and the hammer? So they're faster. They don't take them. They don't get profiled. I just don't know if I just don't know if I really rate the hammer strike. I have bought all these new Primaris tanks now. I just don't know if I will. Yeah, hammer strike is fine. I think if it was me, I'd run 2 regular land speeders. The Impulsor with a shield dome is fine. It's good. The Storm. It's an interesting list. I've seen some play from aggressors. Thank you so much for the gifted subs, Highland Phoenix. You're a legend, dude. I appreciate it. Always makes my evening when someone comes in with gifted subs. Makes this all worthwhile. Thank you. I'm hoping for Blood Angels BAV. It's Blood Angels versus Tyranids, I believe, for the new 10th edition box set. There was a picture that got released today that sort of showed. That was what my thumbnail was. It was showing the picture from the Warhammer community, which sort of I really thought the Warhammer community were showing Blood Angels. Someone sort of pointed out to me that it's probably not Blood Angels. I'm very sad about that. But this picture, there was a little animation over here. If you didn't see it yet, I think this is definitely a Tyranid, and this Terminator inside its vision is unfortunately an Ultramarine. The Terminator is red, so it definitely looks like I definitely think it's a play on like the devastation of Baal, and that shoulder of the Terminator is 100% red, unless that's a different image, because when you look at it, when you click into it, this is a slightly different Terminator, right? Because it's got it doesn't have that red bit, but if you zoom in a lot here, you can see here, just here, this is the Ultramarine logo on this guy's shoulder. Someone was trying to tell me this is Ultramarine logo here, but it's 100% not. That's just the Aquila bit that's sort of standard. But this bit here, you can see the white bit and the white sort of upside down U that would be there. So this guy here is an Ultramarine. Before I came on stream, I didn't realize that, and I was just very excited that it was a red Terminator in the eye, and I was like, "Oh shit, we're finally getting those red Blood Angels Terminators." But yeah, I think you'll be able to paint these any way you want, right? So, I mean, new Terminator kits that maybe have some new weapon options. Who knows? You know what? I like aggressors. I like the fact that these took them down in points. I think 30 points a model on aggressors is probably pretty decent. I guess bringing them out reserve and just hoping that you make that, what would it be, like a 8-inch, 9-inch charge might be decent. Sorry, I got this wrong though. This is a 5-man squad of aggressors. No, this is. Do you know what? If aggressors are only 15 points more than a squad of assault terminators, and you're just going to bring them in from the edge and just try and make that 9-inch charge and just cross your fingers, then I think that's totally viable. I think I would say that that's just as good as Terminators. Less staying power, less like sitting on an objective and surviving. But you got some Blade Guard here you could do that with. He says that this list is designed to table your opponent by turn 4 or 5. I honestly think you're going to struggle, because I've played, like, what did I play at this event? I played a Blade Guard veteran squad, I played 2 Death Company squads, I played a bigger Sangre Guard with more Infernal Pistols, I also played a Terminator squad, and a Terrax, and a Stern Guard squad. I think the Terrax plus the Stern Guard squad are going to do more damage than all 3 of these speeders together, right? These speeders together are going to give you 7 multi-melta shots. My Terrax plus my Stern Guard plus my Tech Marine were giving me 10 melta shots, 7 plasma shots, and then so much damage on the charge. These guys give no damage on the charge. And I'm not and I have the same troops here, and I have basically the captain on the bike and slightly different characters, but like I feel like my characters probably do more damage, and I'm telling you right now, I'm not tabling opponents. So overall, I'd say it's a decent list. Like, this is a decent list that can do some work, but I don't think it's got very much durability. You you got 5 Blade Guard. That's your durability. That's not a lot of durability in the current meta, and nothing else has an invulnerable save out with your characters. So everything else can get blown up very, very quickly. Yes, it's hard for Blood Angels to score. It would be good, Gitly, actually, if you send if you want to send me like your list that you just went 8th out of like 250, because we could we could review that and see. I'd be interested to see how much staying power you have, because some people have stayed very much. It's also going to be terrain dependent, I think. And terrain does play a big thing. But yeah, so interesting list, Mike. I think there's some armies you're not going to be tabling armies. Like, my army is more killy than this. And I wasn't tabling my opponents very often. And my army had a bit more durability than this as well, I think. It's a tough point right now with Blood Angels and their 45% win rate. It's just tough. If it doesn't table any army, it will be yeah, 100%. All right, you're gonna jump in and you're gonna table them, or they're gonna table you. Cool. I mean, you've got to do something right now in the current meta to survive, and I guess my way of surviving is to add more durability units and trying to, fingers crossed, that I can out durable, or I can hold on to some objectives. You've gone like to try and do a bit more damage. I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure that. What was I going to say? I kind of hate looking at an army in a vacuum and going like, let's see how this one list will do against X enemies, for example. But it's really hard to not do that. And like when I'm looking at that and going like, right, if this has to face World Eaters, how are we getting on? And if they've got all their stuff in transports and stuff like that, how are we dealing with that? And I'm like, yeah, you've got a few multi-metals and stuff. But then like the World Eaters list that I just played against had 2 Armigers in it, right? So the Armigers are going to outrange all those land speeders. So yes, maybe you could throw those land speeders forward and kill a Rhino and pop out some of the guys, but then just put it in one of the YouTube comments, Gitly, and I'll find it, and we'll add it to next week's show. Or I mean, maybe if it's we could even do a video on it. Then the Armigers will just kill all the land speeders in turn 1. The Armigers will be obscured. They'll all just come out of obscuring. They'll pop you with their whatever it is. I forget the names of the auto cannons that those Armigers have, but they're like 4d3, strength 7. So they'll probably hit you on 2s because they've got that monster hunter trait. So they'll hit you on 2s. They'll wound you on 3s. Each save will be in a 5-up, and each one will do 3 damage. So if you've got any land speeders left in turn 2, I mean, you'll maybe have 1 left. I guess you could reserve land speeders. Yes, you could do that. But I mean, it's tough. It's I don't know. I mean, I've been saying myself, it's a tough time to be a Blind Angels player. I would have really liked to do better than 3 and 2 at the event that I just went at, but I just don't think I could. I was hoping for 4 and 1, but the armies I came up against, I just couldn't do it. I just literally couldn't do it. Couldn't score high enough. And I mean, the Necron player he had like 97. It was ridiculous. So even if I had the perfect game and scored all my secondaries, I think he still wins. You can use terrain. Yeah, of course you can. But I mean, it depends on who you're up against, right? If you're up against World Eaters, you're going to have to come out. You're going to have to shoot them, because you're not going to. I think World Eaters are like, the way I look at it is World Eaters Codex came out in 2023. Our Codex came out in 2020. So there's like 3 years of power creep in there. If we have to fight World Eaters in close combat, the game's over. We've lost the game. We can't beat them in close combat, and they score really well as well. They got a secondary where it's just like guaranteed 15 points. I long for the day when Blood Angels get guaranteed 15 points. The changes to secondaries really hurt us. Yeah, I mean, we lost one of our best secondaries in Fury of the Lost. I got to do one event, one tournament I actually got to play with Fury of the Lost, and that was the event that I won. So, really frustrating to finally lean into a secondary, pick it, win a tournament, and then they go, that secondary's gone. And here's one that's kind of exactly this, like, for me, I feel like there's no difference between Relentless Assault and Behind Enemy Lines. It's so minor. It's like both of them they're the same secondary. Like you could argue Relentless Assault is a little bit better, but like you're talking like 5 or 10% better. It's not significant. It's not like it doesn't shore up like a category of secondaries that we were weak in. And of course, it's also it's also the Shock Tactics secondary, and Shock Tactics is really good as well. Like Shock Tactics is like 12 points every game minimum. So, maybe while it's good to have Relentless Assault, it just doesn't it leaves too many spaces around it, in my opinion. All right, Morgul. Cool. Thanks for the list submission, Morgul. Franck. Have I got that name right? Is it Frank or is it actually Franck? Franck. I've been taking tips from all your videos to try and build a list to fight my two buddies who are Custodes and Tau. I'm trying out your rowboat list, but with a whirlwind instead of the Baal Predators. I ran the whirlwind with Robuti, Gilliam, and Franck at the tournament that was just at. You haven't watched the video that I made on Friday, obviously. Go watch it. I ran the whirlwind and Robuti Gilliman. It was fun. It was really fun. And I think if I'd had more than one game with that list before that event, I could have possibly gone 4-1. Mike says I would have preferred Fury of the Lost rather than Relentless Assault. Yeah, I think they should have left us with Fury of the Lost. I think it's what we needed. I think it's what we needed. But it is what it is, I guess. And they should have also fixed Oath of Moment. I think I told you the numbers for my Behind Enemy Lines, Rezio, right? Like, I think I put that in the video. Like, I barely dropped any points. Like, one game I did 15 points for Behind Enemy Lines. One game Did I only do it once? No, I did it twice. Okay, so I averaged 13 points per game for Behind Enemy Lines, and both times I got about 2 or 3 extra CP for doing it. So, I mean, those extra couple of points wouldn't have made any difference. I think my problem with Relentless Assault is it's just not what we needed. Like, we can already get, I forget what category that falls into. What's the categories called again? Like Battlefield Supremacy, whatever the hell they're called. Grand Tournament. You have to tick a box and then the secondaries appear, don't you? Oh, it's already ticked. Yeah, Battlefield Supremacy, right? There's already, like, Shock Tactics is fine, Behind Enemy Lines is fine. If we can agree that most games you can score 12 on Shock Tactics, the 2 games I took Behind Enemy Lines at the tournament, I did 13 on, then what Relentless Assault is that actually giving me? Like, 2 points a game? Great. I mean, I got beat by Necrons by like 30 points. So, I mean, those 2 points for Relentless Assault, you know, great. So let's agree that Relentless Assault gives 15 every game. Let's agree Behind Enemy Live gives me 12. I'm still 30 points behind Necrons, right? That's my problem. Java Balls, thanks for hanging out. Nice to meet you. Right, Morgul. Thank you for sticking with the Bloody Angels even hard times. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not switching. 100% not switching. I'd like to submit this list for the show. One Dread in the Stormraven with 4 Centurions, joined later by the Priest to rain Melta into turn 2 and 3. Death Company as an opening missile. Redemptors moving in and shooting upfield with Tech Marine Chaplain and Captain. Death Company Redemptor from reserve, joined by the Chaplain. Infiltrators forward deploying to sticky objective. Hopefully it's annoying enough to put up a fight. I might suggest, if you've got multiple Redemptors here, that one of them gets changed to Brutalis. But let's see. Someone said you'd better if you could choose a category as secondary for any category. I mean, that... I don't know what they're going to do with secondaries in the new edition or whatnot, but I still think that the biggest problem that we have right now, and this is why I hate, like, this Meta Watch thing that they do. Like, I was happy that they're doing this Meta Watch thing, right? Like, I was like, cool, they're doing the Meta Watch, right? But what they're doing is, they're looking at these two armies, and these two armies in a vacuum. Everything from 45 to 55 is fine for them, right? Like, they get no problem with all that. They're just like, we're not touching anyone in this 45 to 55% win rate. We'll look at these ones and we'll look at these ones. What I think they should be doing is looking at all these 55s, maybe even the 54s, and going, is there any secondaries that we could maybe drop by, like, 1 point? Is there any secondaries down here that you could maybe make 1 point better? Because, like, I know that they want to say, like, this is our Goldilocks zone and this is everything's hunky-dory in here, but if you're a 45% army and you fight a 55% army, I feel like it's noticeable. I mean, I feel like I've played enough games where I'm like, holy shit. Like, I played Votann a bunch of times. And yes, I have beaten them, because I am a good player and I utilize terrain, etc., etc., etc. But I have also been completely shot off the board by them, right? And based on, like, the map or whatever. And I feel like that army's a lot stronger than yours. And yes, it only is 8% on paper, but, like, just find a secondary or something down here. And if like I said, if I feel like Relentless Assault, like, if we can sit down and we can agree that Relentless Assault is going to score Blood Angels 15 in most games, but Shock Tactics and Behind Enemy Lines is going to score Blood Angels 12 in most games, then that isn't fixable in that case. Like, Relentless Assault needs to be gone, and a secondary that can shore up a couple extra points every turn or something needs to be added. And the same thing goes for these up here. Like, that's how I would be balancing this. Or you could do it on points, like, for, like, Dark Angel's Terminators maybe need to go up in points, whereas, like, other people's Terminators didn't. But I just think that this is too big a gap to ignore, man. Anyway, I digress. I think it's fixable. I just don't know why they don't fix it. The only new evidence of new Terminators is a reflection in the eye. Yes, Ken, there is a reflection 100% of a new Terminator. They look like they've got new head pieces. Or new, looks like a new head. And in this one, it looked a bit like a Blood Angel's shoulder pad here, because it's red, right? But then in the picture, once you go into the incoming transition, it looks like there's an Ultramarine shoulder pad over here. If you zoom that in a lot, you can see it. Alright, Morgo's list. We got Hammer of Baal, Rights of War Captain. Cool. I mean, personally, I prefer Armor Indomitus, but if you want to go a bit more offensive, you can do that. You've got Chaplain with the Rage and Canticle of Hate. This isn't its successors. Did I miss that? No, it isn't successors. So, Exoration of Rage, I think, is possibly a wrong pick, because Exoration of Rage is going to give you +1 to wound, and for the most part, Blood Angels already get +1 to wound, right? So, unless it's a successors chapter, which it doesn't say, just says Blood Angels, then I think this is wasted, because this gives you +1 to your wound roll. You already get +1 Morgo. Those two things can't unless you're fighting something that's -1 to wound, but that doesn't really happen very often. So I think there'd be better litanies to take here. You can always get the one that gives 1 unit +1 to hit if you've got a bunch of Infernal Pistol guys or something. We'll come to that. You got Tech Marine with Master of the Forge, and you've taken Warden of the Ancients. I also think this is a bad Warlord trait to have. It gives your Dreadnoughts +1 attack, which is cool, but the +1 strength has very little value, right? Warden of the Ancients gives Dreadnoughts within 6, +1 strength, +1 attacks. +1 attack is nice, +1 strength does nothing for you. Suppose let's see how many, it should be Mantra strength. Okay, cool. I've looked at Warden of the Ancient before, but I don't see too much value in it. What I'd probably see more value, actually, in this case would be Quake Bolts, because Quake Bolts will give you +1 to hit, which would be very similar to +1 attack, right? It means your Dreadnoughts would probably hit on 2s in melee. You already got plenty strength because Blood Angel's +1 to wound, so you're probably already wounding on 2s. The strength from Warden and the Ancients is kind of irrelevant. And the cool thing about Quake Bolts is you can shoot it with the Primaris Tech Marines Forge Bolter, which means you can shoot it on a 2, because he's Ballistic Skill 2, and you can actually advance and shoot it on a 3, because his Forge Bolter is an assault weapon, yeah. So Quake Bolts on the Primaris Tech Marine is actually pretty cool. I think it's better than Warden and Ancient. Master of the Forge, obviously, so you can heal for 3. You got the Sanguinary Priest, who is the Chief Apothecary, and he's at 150 points. I still think he's expensive at 150, but I think that's okay. Any thoughts on a Freeblade Knight coming in alongside Blood Angels? I think if you're going to run Knights, I'd probably run Helverins. And yes, it'd be fine to run Helverins, like 3 of them, maybe. If you think Helverins can shore up some shooting, then I think that's definitely something you could do. The only problem with running Helverins or Armigers in general is you've got to remember they don't score any of your Blood Angel specific secondaries. So if you're talking, or they don't even score Space Marine specific secondaries. So you can't do any Space Marine secondary like behind enemy lines, or Oath of Moment, or Shot Tactics. Your Knights are not going to score them. A Terminator is just a Terminator. Says Highland Phoenix. I'm not sure what they're going to change with the new Terminators. I hope we get some new weapon options. I think that would be cool. I kind of want to see Terminators with swords now that I mention it. Like, I want to see Terminators with the mastercrafted swords that Bladeguard have. Because one of the big downfalls of Terminators, I suppose, is they only have 1 damage or 3 damage. There's no in between. Could we get mastercrafted swords on them? Could make some cool conversions with the Bladeguard as well. You mainly did it for the +1 attack. Yeah, I just think hitting on 2s would be better. So I think Quake Bolts would be my personal opinion. 2 Infiltrator squads with Helix Gauntlets. You got the Centurions, which you said were inside a Storm Raven. The Storm Raven has twin Las Cannon, twin multi-melt, twin 2 Hurricane Bolters. You obviously got missiles on that as well. It just hasn't listed them. I would run twin Plasma Cannons over the twin Las Cannons. The Las Cannons are going to get like 2 shots, and their swingy is all hell because they're d6 damage. The Plasma Cannons are going to get 4 shots on average, and they're 3 damage each. So, I think Plasmas are where I would run it. Where's the Storm Raven? Twin Plasma. It's going to be Strength 7 -3, 2 damage, or Strength 8 -3, 3 damage. And each one is... Sorry, the whole thing is heavy 2d3. So it's going to be 2 to 6 shots. Realistically, it's probably going to be 4. 4 3 damage shots to me sounds hell of a lot better than 2d6 shots. 2 Las Cannons hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s or 3s. It just feels like such a low probability that they actually do any damage. So I'd swap them out for the Plasmas if you have them. Hopefully you have them. You've got the Death Company Dreadnought with double Heavy Flamer. You've got Death Company with 4 Thunderhammers. You've got the Ironclad with the Seismic Hammer and the Heavy Flamer and the Combat Weapon. Which Dreadnought's in the... Death Company Redemptor for Reserve. Okay, and then so the Ironclads and the Storm Raven, and you've got a couple of Redemptors. Okay. And how many CP are you starting on? 2. There could be an argument here for actually running... you could definitely argue here for running a Brutalis, actually. What is it, like 4 Dreadnoughts, 4 Centurions, 1 Death Company, the Storm Raven, the Infiltrators, the characters. It's a very mechanized Blood Angels list. That's not to say it's not a good list. Crimson Paladin style Terminators would be awesome, says Jim. That's what I'm thinking. That would be cool. Mass Prophet, good afternoon. How you doing? The Terminator Sergeant is the only one that gets a power sword at the moment. Yes, he is, and that's only the older squad that have bolters, and it's just a regular power sword, not like a master-crafted one like the Blade Guard have. It would be nice for those Terminators to get a bit of an update. Sounds like we're going to get them. It looks like we're going to get them, right? You don't have the Augustus box yet. Okay. So I've ran at a tournament before, double Redemptor, with a Tech Marine, but I also ran it with the Psychic Fortress Librarian. I feel like without Psychic Fortress, Redemptors are super vulnerable. Into certain armies, they're just very vulnerable because they obviously have no invulnerable save against. They get no save against Meltas, basically. So if you want to run a list like this, I feel like it might. I was also going to say you're not probably going to do that much turn one combat either. You've got your one Death Company. It might be worth running the Priest with like no war gear, nothing, or even not running the Priest. The way you could not run the Priest is just make the squad 5 Thunderhammers. So not run the Priest, which saves you 150 points. Make that squad 5 Thunderhammers, which cost you 10 points, leaving you like 140. Take the Psychic Fortress Librarian, which is like 105, I think, with the jump pack. Leaves you like 35 points. At that point, I would actually probably drop one squad of infiltrators for incursors and squeeze in the Voidsman at arms. And then Voidsman at arms means you've now got a way to score retrieve battlefield data a bit more reliable. If you do want to do a Forlorn Fury in turn 1, you still get 20 Thunderhammer attacks because you've got 5 Thunderhammers in the squad. Yes, you lose a little bit of not having the Priest, but I mean, I just ran to GT without a Priest. You don't have to have a Priest. If you don't have a lot of turn 1 and 2 threat in melee, because that's why you'd run the Priest, right? Once you get to turn 3 and your whole army moves into Assault Doctrine, I feel like the value of the Priest like halves. At that point, he's there to maybe give someone some wounds and maybe give someone a 6-up feel no pain. In reality, I've like had that Priest hanging out next to, let's say, a squad of Blade Guard veterans, 5 Blade Guard veterans. I've lost all 15 wounds, and I've maybe made like 1 6-up feel no pain. So I feel like the Priest's feel no pain, the 6-up, has very low practical value. His D3 heal, or I guess in the case of the Selfless Healer, the 3 damage heal does have some value. But if that's all he's doing, would it be better to just have a bubble of invulnerable save around both your Redemptors? Arguably, if it's on a jump pack model, you should be able to move / advance the jump pack model so that the invulnerable save also hits your Stormraven gunship when it comes in from reserve as well. And I think the Stormraven's probably pretty vulnerable, like again, against Meltifier if it has no invulnerable save. So I feel like that would actually benefit this list a lot. You also have an Ironclad and a Death Company Dreadnought, which could also benefit from a 5 invulnerable. And if you do go to Null Zone, like you've got no like Stormraven no invuln, Redemptors no invuln, Death Company no invuln. These 2 units no, like you literally only have an invulnerable. Actually, you only have 2 invulnerable saves in your entire army, the Captain and the Chaplain. So if you have Null Zone, actually benefits you a hell of a lot more than it would benefit. You know, like sometimes the problem with Null Zone is you cast Null Zone and you remove your own invulnerable saves. You've got no fucking invulnerable saves. So Null Zone would actually be super good. Use the Priest for 2 turns to put the Psychic Fortress up, and turn 3 just sacrifice him, jump him into the middle of enemy lines, turn on Null Zone. Shoot everything that you've got, charge with Centurions, do all the damage in the world because they don't have any invulnerable saves and you have a ton of AP at that point. The Voidsman at Arms will also help you score if you need to do battlefield data. I feel like you're probably not picking Relentless Assault with this army. You're possibly picking like Shock Tactics. So your Shock Tactics, your Oathing, and then you're maybe having to do retrieve battlefield data or banners. Banners for me always works better on 6 objective maps. So on a 5 objective map, what's your 3rd secondary? You would say like, well, my 3rd secondary is a faction specific, like, you know, if I can take no prisoners, if I can bring it down. But if you can't, if none of those are good options, then battlefield data. So this sort of list, I guess, is going to advance slowly for a turn, shoot, potentially weather the storm, and that's going to be a lot easier to do with the priest. Sorry, it's going to be a lot easier to do with Psychic Fortress. The other thing to do with Psychic Fortress, or the librarian, is remember that librarian can make one of your dreadnoughts +1 toughness with Mighty Heroes. So you can make one of your Redemptors T8, or you can make your Ironclad T9. And that actually gives them +1 attack as well. So, Mighty Heroes, Psychic Fortress, / Null Zone, and then maybe swap out the Infiltrators for Incursors and get Voidsmen. If you can't do that, also maybe go 5 Thunderhammers if you're losing the Priest. If you can't do that, then it's fine. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you can't do that, but yeah, if you don't have any of the models, the easiest changes are put Quake Bolts in and probably put in that librarian. If you haven't got a jump pack librarian, then now would be the time. I think they're always a fun unit to have. You could probably proxy Mephiston as him, because he can also take a free Infernal Pistol as well. So the way I did it was I actually modelled my librarian with a holster, so that I don't have to say what pistol he's got. I can just be like, he's got an Infernal Pistol, it's in the holster. I always see the Voidsman at Arms suggested. What are the right models for that? I mean, the right models are the Voidsman at Arms. They just got a re-release. I think they might just be on here. No. I was going to say they're like Star Striders or some shit, aren't they? This is the actual squad for Voidsman at Arms. Star Striders. Las guns, las pistols, rotor cannon, etc., etc. And you get the dog, but I mean, I wouldn't pay the CP for the dog. I use Tempest Scions because I figured. How do I spell Tempest? I figured I could make my Tempest Scions kind of look like Blood Angels. You paint the armor red, give them the gold trim. I cut off these backpack straps, so they just had like las guns. And I found, I think I got, I don't think there's a shotgun on the Tempest Scions sprues. No, there's a bunch of las guns. And then I just bought basically like a shotgun and you could probably, and there's a grenade launcher. You could probably make something, or I'm quite pleased with how my Tempest Scions work. And these guys are on tiny little bases. I can't remember exactly. I think they're on the 25mm bases. So they are just on tiny, tiny bases. These guys will be on the same bases. Yes, 25mm bases. But you just need 5 of them, so that's why I went with Tempest Scions. I think I saw someone had done that already and was like, that's cool. And those Star Strider guys are always out of stock, by the way. I'm using a Primaris Librarian with a pasted on jump pack. There you go. Morgo's using Scions as well. Yeah, Scions look cool. I don't know if I have a... I was going to say, I think I emailed myself a picture of the Scions for a thumbnail. Yeah, this is... Here's my... That's my Scions. So 3 with las guns, 1 with a shotgun. I think this is a Necromunda shotgun. And then this was bought on eBay, this rotor cannon. I just googled like rotor cannon on eBay or something. I think the rotor cannon was ridiculous. It was like $4. But I think the Scions look cool. And they obviously fit the Blood Angels theme. What do you think about running 2 Sangre Priests? No. I don't think I like that at all. Why would you want to? I already just said that they get way less valuable once you hit turn 3, right? They're very Blood Angel surfed. Yeah, I mean the Voidsmen are awesome. I think the Scions make them. I love the look of the Tempest Scions as Voidsmen. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing to be. You can 100% run a mechanized Blood Angels list. It's different. Some people would say. I remember getting told before, like back when I started the channel, like someone said to me, or someone said in the comments, like, if you're running Dreadnoughts, are you even a Blood Angels player? And I was like, yeah, well, Blood Angels have had Dreadnoughts since the 90s, dude. So, yeah, I mean, I think you can run Dreadnoughts as Blood Angels. I ran this to a tournament, and I actually beat one of the best players in the whole of the UK running a double Redemptor Blood Angels list. I think he didn't know what the fuck he was up against. He was like, "Oh, I'm playing Blood Angels. What the hell? He's got double Redemptor." And I beat him convincingly. So I felt very pleased about that. And I think it's different. I don't know how strong it is right now, but I know Psychic Fortress helped a lot. I know Toughness 8 Redemptor helps a lot. I know a Tech Marine giving it +3 wounds every turn helps a lot. And what I do like is if you have a captain on a bike with Chapter Master, in turn 1 you give that to one Redemptor, the Tech Marine makes the other Redemptor hitting on 2s, and you have one Redemptor hitting on 3s rerolling everything, and you have one Redemptor hitting on 2s rerolling all the ones. So basically one Redemptor has like a 95% chance to hit, the other one has an 80% chance to hit or something. Maybe it's 88% actually, I think, 3s rerolling everything, yeah. So you basically have two super reliable Redemptors. This list could stay in Heavy Doctrine. It possibly could, but I always think that you want to be in Assault Doctrine for Blood Angels. And plus, the extra attacks, the AP, etc., it's all worthwhile. So I would still rush to Assault Doctrine. But this is fine. I guess by having 4 Dreadnoughts with Toughness 7, you add some reliability and some survivability to the list, and that is what Blood Angels are missing at the moment. If you're playing on tournament terrain, or you're playing on light maps with not a lot of terrain, then I can totally get on board with this sort of list. Alright, we're going to do one more list for tonight, and it's by Francesco Abigail, I think. Morgo, if you got any questions, hit me up on chat, and I'll see if I've got anything else. I don't care much about people saying this or that. Yeah, I don't care anything. Like, no one. I play my Blood Angels army my way, Morgo. And people made fun of me for including Gilliman in the list not too long ago, and I actually did really well at that event with Gilliman, and I won a friggin' medal for my play with Gilliman. So, as much as people want to tell you you can or can't do something, I say you do you, and it's always the minority. Like, most people will support you. Like, most people are like, oh cool, do you know what, I'm gonna run Gilliman this week. I'm gonna run my Terrax and Gilliman, and I'm gonna have a ton of fun, and if I lose the game, I lose the game. It's not the end of the world. If you stay in Devastator Doctrine, you have to jump. You still have to move to Tactical one turn, and you still have to move to Assault Doctrine the next turn. You can't go straight from Devastator to Assault. Yes, correct, Diggity. What do you think of running Corbolo with Blade Guard, since they're foot slogging it anyway? I think Corbolo falls off late game because he's got no maneuverability. Yeah, I think if you are going to have a priest, I think there's a reason the priest jump pack is 30 points. I know it's expensive, and it's kind of one of the most expensive jump packs in the entire game. But I think Corbolo, he's just weak right now. He needs a revamp. He needs a new model. I actually don't think you can buy him anymore. I think he's discontinued. So hopefully, I think that means they know he's not good and they're going to fix him. If you're running 2 Sangry Priests, wouldn't you be able to run down your opponent turn 1 2 melees more? I mean, yes, but typically in most games you're going to have to spend 1 turn jumping into cover potentially, and I was going to say, do I have a screenshot that I can demonstrate real quick what I'm thinking? Do you have a screen grab of any of my recent games? I do. Just trying to think where the hell it would be. I do have a folder called YouTube. Games Workshop. I made a 2023 folder where I put some of my recent games in. Alright, super quick. I guess I'll email a picture to myself. 1 second. Do I need to? No, maybe just do it with a pencil. Right. Here's your map, right? Here's some terrain. Just like a thick brush. Right. Here's some terrain on both sides of the board. Here's your deployment zone. Here's no man's land. So this is like no man's land down the middle. Here's a piece of terrain in the middle on both sides, I guess. How would I mirror that? Like this. And then here's your objectives, right? Objective, objective, objective. In fact, these ones on the side would probably maybe not be in the deployment zone. But what you want to do in Blood Angels in turn 1, let's say you go first. So their whole army's hiding way back here. Turn 1, all you want to do is move 1 unit behind this piece of terrain. Right? That's literally your only play. Everything else in your army should be hidden. Because if they're a shooting army, they're going to shoot the shit out of you. So you move 1 unit up here. The idea is, now you make it difficult for them. They go onto the middle, because let's face it, they're probably not going to be able to get from the deployment zone all the way to this unit. Make sure this unit is just far enough back so that they can't get to it. They want to go into the middle because they want to have 3 objectives so that they score maximum points. The second they go into the middle, you take this unit that's hidden behind the train, you kill that. So the middle is now yours. Turn 2, you do the exact same thing. You put another unit out. That's like the simplest way of explaining it. But in the early turns for Blood Angels, you kind of want to just use your priest to get... I mean, arguably you could take your whole army and hide it. Like if there's a nice staging area in the middle, like a nice big piece of terrain, you'd hide shitloads of models behind it. But like you still want everything to be obscured. You're not going to be going, hey, here's a squad going down this flank. Hey, here's a squad going down this flank. And then they go, well, hey, I'm a shooting army. They're all fucking dead. They're all fucking dead. Now what are you doing? How about that? It's the simplest I can do it. Alright, Francesco, here's my list on Blood Angels. Since the rise in transhuman, transhit, and -1 to hit, I've decided to fill my list with many hammers and many power fists. I did that as well. I actually added a shitload of power hammers. Combining this with successor traits, Whirlwind of Rage, and Hungry for Battle, the Chapter Master, Casey, and Sabbath. So this is a successor list. I have strength 8 on all my units in melee. So I can definitely drop the +1 to wound, and I get more attacks. I got 5 Death Company, can get to 6 attacks, each hitting on 2s, rerolling all hits of 6s, and they can explode. This also allows me to one-shot a very large variety of tough opponents. I backed up multiple ways to get +1 to hit. Terminator strat, Ancient on the Warlord, +1 for the Sangre Guard, Quake Bolts. The list also has 2 Helverins, as in my opinion their best option for shooting. Secondary-wise, I advise to take no prisoners, or when possible stick to oaths. Banners can be good. Behind enemy lines is an auto-take. Cool. Okay, so we've got Blood Angel successors, Hungry for Battles, Whirlwind of Rage. So Whirlwind of Rage is 6's burst. Hungry for Battle is the same standard, +1 to charge, +1 to advance, I think. It's been a while since I looked at Hungry for Battle. You could stay... The thing, Carbolo is pretty vulnerable though. He's just like... Is he 4 wounds and 3 up save? Yeah, okay, so +1 to charge, +1 to advance, 6s are bursting. You got Librarian with Shield of Sanguinius Unleash Rage, so you've got potential double bursting 6s, I like that. You've got the Sangre Priest with Soul Warden. I think Soul Warden isn't a great pick on the Sangre Priest because he already has a 6-up Feel No Pain bubble. I guess Soul Warden has some value, but I think it's kind of low. You've got Cassian Sabis. If people aren't aware of Cassian Sabis, he is a successor chapter character. We don't see him all that much, but he does have a very cool ability. He's a no jump pack. That's his biggest weakness. I was going to say, did that not load? God damn it, if I can't see... I was going to say, Cassian data sheet. He's a Forge World character. I actually don't own the book that he's in. Here's his profile. Open link in new window. See if I can... He's a red scorpion, that's what it is. Here we go. So, he gets... Obviously, the standard reroll hits, but he also gets... If he's... No, this is wrong. this isn't his rules. Cassian Sabus data sheet 40k. Does it exist? Damn it. He has an ability. I forget the exact wording for Cassian Sabus. Does anyone remember? He gets oh, it's loaded. Cool. He gets. You can pick one core unit or a character and give it +1 attack. So as well as giving full rerolls to a core unit within 6, you can also give it +1 attack. So that's how he's getting the Death Company up to 6 attacks. So you give them Assault Doctrine, which gives them +1, Black Rage gives them +1, Charging gives them +1, Cassian Sabus gives them +1. So you get 5 Thunderhammers in the Death Company would get 30 Thunderhammer hits. So that would basically delete just about anything, and you can also give them double bursting 6s. Cool. So full rerolls, 30 Thunderhammers, double bursting 6s. He doesn't get +1 to wound, but I mean, that is a shitload of strength 8 hits. If he does give, I mean, I was going to say, if you actually math that out, so it's 30 with full rerolls, so it's 75% chance to hit. So you make 22.5 hits before your bursts, and then your bursts are 5 times 2. So you make 10 bursts on the first batch, and then you have to reroll. You'd have to reroll 15 dice. So you actually end up with 37.5 Thunderhammer hits. That's fucking insane, actually. That's so 30 hits. Your bursts and rerolls mean you generate an extra 7.5. You can actually use then the Ancient to give him +1 to hit, so arguably you could get even more hits. I assume he's got 2 Death Company all with Thunderhammers. He's actually only got 4 Thunderhammers in one squad, and 4 Power Fists and a Thunderhammer in the second squad. Interesting. I mean, I guess he's got so many bursts. He's got Sanguinary Guard with Power Fists. He's got more Sanguinary Guard with Power Fists. Actually, 3 Sanguinary Guard with Power Fists, and then a bunch of Thunderhammer Terminators. I still think Terminators need some Lightning Claws in the squad. I really think Terminators are much better with Lightning Claws in the squad. I would also, I'd also Mastercraft a Lightning Claw on the Sergeant. I think that's really cool, especially if you got double bursting 6s. That would be very cool. You've got Landspeeder with Multi-Melta. You've got Eliminators with Las Fusils. You've got the 2 Armigers. Interesting. So durability-wise, you just really have the one squad of Terminators with Thunderhammers. That's your durability units. You've got 3 Sanguinary Guard, a 5, a 4, a 5, 2 Death Company, double 5, the Ancient, Cassian Sabus, the Priest, the Librarian Phobos Armor. I thought you said he had Quake Bolts in this list. Oh, the Eliminators are running Quake Bolts as well. You got the double Helverins with Hunters of Beasts. That means they hit monsters and vehicles on 2s. They obviously have those heavy stubbers and those D3 autocannons. Corbolo has 1 more wound than the Sanguinary Priest, says Knocking. I mean, it's still, I don't know. I think just because Corbolo is going to have to walk everywhere, I don't like him. Yeah, I guess I just don't like him. He's discontinued now anyway, right? And here's the problem with Corbolo, right? It's an aura. That's the good thing about the Priest. The Priest can give it to one unit, and then that unit can, move 12 inches +2, potentially Forlorn Fury away. Like that unit the Priest can give to can get Assault Doctrine 20-25 inches away. Corbolo needs to be within his 6-inch aura or something. It's I don't see how you could run Corbolo unless he's in a Rhino or something mad. But like, who's running Rhinos for Blood Angels? All right, so this list is trying to combine a bit of shooting with a shitload of threat from jump units, with very little durability and infiltrators to screen the backfield. This list will play really well into like a terrain heavy board, or whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah, I think that's the best way to say it. Like a really terrain heavy board, this list will do okay. If you do not have good terrain on your board, then I think you can potentially end up struggling a lot here. Because I think we can agree those Death Company aren't survivable. The Sangre Guard are really unsurvivable now. You don't have a lot that's going to be able to sit on objectives. You got nothing. I mean, I guess your 2 Armigers could sit on objectives and okay. I mean, yeah. This list isn't bad. The Armigers are going to be the unit that's going to sit on the backfield objectives, I guess, and maybe shoot a bit. Infiltrators for screening, and then it's just going to be a case of if your jump units can get where they need to go and do the damage. I think that sometimes this list will do great, but I think into some matchups you'll struggle. Like, World Eaters scream out at me like every unit you've got there will get traded away by 100-point of Berserker unit. Is that an Imperial Knight down there? Yes, it's a couple though. This is the 2 Armigers. Or, sorry, the 2 Helverins. And I think if I was going to run Knights, I think that's honestly the best choice. I like this list. I think he's made a lot of good points. He's got a lot of +1 to hit. He's got a lot of rerolls. He's got a lot of strength 8 to try and deal with transhuman. Or -1 damage. He's got a lot of power fists. He's got a decent amount of thunder hammers. It's a little bit of anti-infantry clear, I guess. But I think my problem with this right now is like assuming the enemy can kill your Armigers, then you're like, and I guess a bunch of enemies can. If the enemy can kill your Armigers, then you've got nothing to hold objectives, or nothing durable that can hold objectives. And you've got nothing durable that can trade, right? Like, Sangre Guard will kill a unit and then they'll instantly die. If you were playing World Eaters, for example, all of these units can get mopped up by a 100-point unit of Berserkers, probably very easily. And yeah, World Eaters are only 1 army, but I do always worry about, like, I guess my personal thought is, like, if I went to an event and I just knew, like, World Eaters are a horrible matchup for me, I've got no chance of winning, would I still take that army to events? Some people do. Some people are like, fuck it. I know if I play Thousand Suns, I'm just going to lose. I don't care. I'm just going to go to the event anyway and try my darndest to win. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think this list could do something like that. It could do decent into certain armies. It has a lot of Alpha Strike potential. It seems like it's pretty well crafted. I don't think I've got much to say because I think used right, this Cassan Sabis list can do an absolute ton of damage. And I think, like, if I had to play against this potentially beats me, because I think Cassan Sabis buffing a unit that then jumps out 20 odd inches, just makes a charge, will just be an overwhelming amount of damage and probably clean up even one of my more durable units. If you want to make a Paladin Mark Killer, go for it. Now's the time. Now is the season to do crazy shit. Now is definitely the season to do crazy shit. So that's kind of where I stand on this list. This is a good list. I think it's interesting. Anyone got any suggestions on how they would improve this last list? And then I am going to call it an evening. So if anyone's got a suggestion, leave it with me. And then I was going to say, I made the slides this week for my painting competition. We are having another painting competition on the channel. I can show you this. I can show you the thumbnail because I've made it already. I haven't filmed the video, but I've made the thumbnail. Here it is. The 2022 painting competition. Big reveal here on Sunday night. Is happening. Probably if I get time this week, I'm going to try and film 2 videos. So I've got that coming. And I guess I need to know the rules. Well, that's why I need to make the video, so you know the rules, Rez. That's why I need to do it. And I've refined the rules from last year, because let's face it, last year was a shit show. Or maybe it wasn't a shit show for you guys, but for me it was. I didn't didn't ask for the right questions. So this time it's going to be a lot cleaner what I'm actually asking for entries. So yeah, I've got this almost ready. It's ready to film now. All the slides are made. I started doing this thing where I make the thumbnails first, so that I use the thumbnails as like a better point of entry into the video, because trying to make the thumbnails last is actually kind of difficult. So it's like you've made the video and then you're trying to make the thumbnail to fit it. So now I'm doing this thing where I'm making the thumbnails first. Who knows? I don't know. I'm still learning YouTube. But anyway, thank you to everyone that submitted the lists for tonight. There wouldn't be a show without it. If you want to submit a list, you can do that over in the community tab. We will be back next week, I'm sure, to do army lists. It's kind of the thing that we do every Sunday night. If you did get a review tonight, please, and you have a comment, leave a comment. Leave a comment on the stream, leave a like on the stream or the video. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the super chats, as always, and the gifted subs. Big props to you guys that give gifted subs. You guys are very generous, and I do really appreciate it. So, cool. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks so much for watching. Congrats to Gitley for almost winning an event. We haven't seen too many people go 4-1, honestly. Since the new Arcs of Omen season came out. Seen a lot of people do badly. I haven't seen that many people do well. So, cool. I'll catch you guys at some point this week. I don't know when the painting video will be ready. Hit me on. I'm probably going to make the other video first and make the painting one after. We'll see. Or maybe I'll do it the other way around. We'll have to see how we get into it tomorrow night. So ping me on Discord if there's any other questions. Thanks again for watching, guys. Enjoy your weekend. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.